How far would you go to make an impact in the world? This fall, 10 incredible entrepreneurs will visit our campus to tell their stories and share the steps they took to be catalysts for change. The 2021 Entrepreneur Leadership Series, the most valuable one-credit class you will ever take.
Tyler Tolson's here tonight, and we have another great story coming up. Mikey Henderson, the president of our entrepreneurship club, will introduce Tyler in just a minute. A couple things. You have a reflections paper due. If you're taking this class for the 1 hour credit, there's a reflection paper due on December 1st. So it's 2 weeks after our last session, and it's simple. The instructions are on Canvas. It's 3 to 4 pages. You have to tell me something that you learned that's going to be valuable for your career or for your life in that paper, and then we just check it off and you get the credit, okay? So don't forget that. Every semester, people that come to all 10 sessions just don't turn in that paper, and I just don't want that to happen to any of you, okay? So make a note, put it in your calendar. It won't take you long to write it, but make a note it's due December 1st. But you can turn it in any time after next week, after our Shark Tank night. Next week is our last session. It's our Shark Tank night. I told you we have 5 amazing student companies. They have revenue, they're doing sales, they're ready to grow, and they're going to be pitching to a really interesting panel of judges. All of the judges next week, as I mentioned, have gone through the entrepreneurship program, and they've built multi-million-dollar companies, and they're going to be judging their fellow students who are where they were 5 or 6, 7 years ago. So it's going to be really a fun evening. It's just like the Shark Tank show on TV. So make sure you're here, come on time, and if you want to bring a friend, that's awesome. Then registration now is open for next semester. And our leadership series, as I've told you, we have phenomenal speakers. Again, we have the CEO of Mass Mutual, who started a nonprofit organization called Racing for Orphans with Down Syndrome. We have the founders of Thread Wallet. Does anyone have a Thread Wallet here? You know who they are? It's a young husband-wife team. They'll be here. We have the lead dancer from Ballet West, who's built her own dance company. She's amazing. We have a designer from New York who designs dresses for J-Lo and the first wives, the president's wives of the United States. And he's actually bringing some dresses and some models. He's going to talk about how he built that company. We have the chief creative officer for Adobe coming to talk about creativity and design. We just have some really, really neat companies. We have the founder of Kodiak Cakes coming, and maybe we'll have some pancakes that night. So sign up for it. You can take this class as many times as you want. It's just 1 credit, pass, fail if you need an extra credit, okay? So let's go ahead. We'll turn the time over to Mikey Henderson to introduce Tyler.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks, everybody, for coming out tonight. We got a special speaker here. I'm going to read this introduction, and then I want to tell a small story about Tyler, because I've gotten to know him, had the pleasure to do so over the last little while. Tyler is the founder of Denik, a company that features artwork from across the globe on notebooks to generate funds for building schools in impoverished countries. He started the company in 2011 as a full-time student at Utah State University, and now works with brands such as Nordstrom, Urban Outfitters, Nike, Quiksilver, Roxy, Tom's Shoes, and Nickelodeon. Denik has helped in the construction of schools in Mali, Laos, Guatemala, and Ghana. During his time at Utah State, Tyler served 2 consecutive years as student body president. He was one of 3 students worldwide to be named as Young Emerging Leader by the Leader to Leader Institute in New York. Tyler's favorite things include watching TV with his wife, Nicole, wrestling with his children, and supporting Aggie athletics. That's a little bit about Tyler. I've had the pleasure to get to know him, like I said, over the last little while. And he being the 10th speaker that has come this year, we've seen a lot of faces. We usually go to dinner beforehand with the speaker and hear a little bit about their story, and then get to talk to him on more of a personal level. Tyler today was the first one of the year that went around the table. There was about probably 10 or 12 students in there. He walked around the table, bent down, and talked to each student individually. And I had yet to see that. And I thought that was incredible leadership that he had shown, and also just showed the sincerity and genuinity of his heart. So, wanted to say that about Tyler, and put your hands together for him. We're happy to have him here.
Okay, is this lapel mic working okay? Man, thanks for that intro. That was awesome. I'm just going to start off. I'm not the smartest guy in the room at all. And so some of these stories that you're going to hear, you might laugh a little bit like, oh, I would never do that. Why would you ever do that? It's okay to laugh. It's totally fine to laugh at me. But my career at Denik and starting this company started 10 years ago, right here on this stage and sitting right here where you guys are in this class, literally 10 years ago. We celebrated 10 years in business last week. So big party. Yep. It's been an adventure and lots of ups, lots of downs, roller coaster ride. I'm going to share some of those stories with you today. I'm also going to stick around at the end of this as long as you guys are here. So I'll stand here, chat, ask questions. As long as you guys want to connect, I'll be here. So feel free. If you want to jump in line at the end, or if there's no line, just come say hi. Okay, just a little bit about my company. You got a little bit of a preview. In 2011, Instagram was really starting to take off. And so I jumped on Instagram and I saw all these killer artists. And so I started connecting with artists. And so what we do is we gather artists from all over the world and we print their work on notebooks, journals, sketchbooks, art prints, etc. And then with every product sold, part of the money goes to build schools, and then part of the money goes back to the artists that design the products. And years ago, I was always inspired by brands like Threadless. If any of you know Threadless, big brand that they work with hundreds of thousands of artists and print their work on t-shirts and a bunch of other products now. We're actually a partner of theirs now, which is pretty cool because I created this company thinking I'd love to be the Threadless of notebooks, and now they're one of my partners. So that's a little bit about our brand. These are some of our customers. We've got 3 major divisions in the company. So we've got our retail division. We sell in about 16,000 retail locations in North America. So Target, Barnes & Noble, Staples, Michaels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And those are our artist design products that are sold at retail. Then we also have a custom division. And that custom team is making products for companies like TikTok, Nickelodeon, LinkedIn, Disney, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm thrilled. Every day I look at this customer list and I think, I literally was sitting right here. Literally, actually in that seat. Just like, yeah, one day I want to make notebooks for Nike. Literally, 10 years ago. So, and if I can do it, guys, I'm not the smartest one in the room, for sure. You guys are way smarter than me, way more talented. You have way more access to technology. And so, you guys can do it too. Okay, I'm going to rewind all the way back to 1999. Some of you might remember that time, some of you might not, and that's okay. I was in high school. That's a Barry Sanders jersey, by the way. Big Barry Sanders fan right here. In 1999, as I was in high school, there was this crazy event, Y2K, widespread. There was some just people going crazy. You thought the toilet paper aisle during COVID was bad? Y2K was worse. And what Y2K was is people were flipping out about computers. When it switched over to the year 2000, they thought, oh man, it's going to go from 1999 and then switch back to 1900 instead of going to 2000. And so they were terrified that computers were going to shut down, people would lose power, lose water. It was just pandemonium. And I remember being a little scared. And this is my first exposure to entrepreneurship. My dad was a baller at recognizing opportunities. baller. And so all this pandemonium is going on, and I come home from school one day, and there's like 8 generators in the garage. And I was like, where am I going to put my bike? My dad had gone out and purchased generators and bought out every one of them at Lowe's. And I was like, what is he going to do here? He then posted them, and he sold them all within a matter of days for double and triple what he paid for those generators. So he bought them for $400, and he started selling these things for $800, $1,200, $1,600. And I was floored. I thought, man, my dad's a baller. And he can recognize opportunities. And so that was one of my first introductions of entrepreneurship. And I thought, man, I'd like to do that. That sounds kind of cool. Maybe not generators, but something. So that was my first introduction. So now we'll fast forward from 1999, Y2K scares, all the way to 2011. And this first part of my talk is a section called Working Hard. And so I'll show you some of the working hard scenarios that I faced in starting the company. Okay, so before I even started Denik, I was working on a totally different company. It's called Parco. And this was a website and a smartphone app that lets you reserve parking at large entertainment venues. And me and a couple buddies in school were starting this. We were working on it, making progress. And all of a sudden, they were business students. My degree was in communication studies, but then I switched to, and then I got minors in management, aka entrepreneurship at that time. I took all the management classes that were entrepreneurship. So working with these buddies, they heard about this business pitch contest. And I was like, okay, tell me more. This sounds cool. And they said, you get up and you give a pitch for 3 minutes. And the prize pool is like $8,000. I thought, okay, that would definitely help us in developing this app. And they said, Tyler, we want you to pitch it. And I was like, wait a minute. There's going to be like all these smart business people there, business kids, business students, and these judges that are investors who were going to sit at the front and just critique me. I'm going to lose. And they said, well, we want you to do it. So I knew that if I was going to go up against students of such high caliber, that I got to up my game. I got to go above and beyond. So I'll ask you guys the question. You just shout it out. Average business student, you're going to give a 3-minute pitch on a business idea on this stage, literally right here. Next week, 3-minute pitch. How many hours do you put into your pitch? Your prep, and then kind of planning it, and then actually reciting it. 5 or 6? Dang. Overachiever? 2, 3? 2, 1? 1 or 2? Yep. 25 minutes. So I knew that there was going to be some overachievers. 5 hours, maybe even slipping into like 6, 7, 8, 9. No way, 10. No way. I know students. Come on, guys. And so my goal was, if the best student I'm going to go up against is going to practice their pitch for maybe 5 to 10 hours, I got to go bigger than that because I'm at a disadvantage. I'm not as smart. I'm not as talented. So I started getting up at 4:30, 5 a.m. And I would go and I would look in the mirror and I would write my pitch and then practice in the mirror. Practice, practice, practice. And I'd turn the fan on so my wife wouldn't go crazy. And I'd practice and practice. You know, make a few edits, practice, practice. And then about 7:30, then I would go shower, get ready for the day, and I would start walking over to my classes. And I'd put headphones in because I didn't want to look crazy walking through campus, reciting my pitch, and I'd bob my head. So it was like I was listening to music, but I wasn't. I was just practicing my pitch. So I'd go between classes like that. And then I would go in between classes when I had breaks, I'd go up to the hub and I'd be like, hey, how are you guys? Is it okay if I give you my business pitch that I have next week? And you guys can give me some feedback? Armpit sweat, right? In this scenario, I knew I was going to be in front of investors, so I got to be comfortable sweating, right? I've got to be comfortable in a very uncomfortable scenario. Then I would come over to the business school, and I would knock on professors' doors, and I would say, hey, is it okay if I give you my elevator pitch real quick, and you give me some feedback? Okay, that story's gone on long enough. Basically, by the end of the week, I had put in 40 hours of actively reciting my pitch. Not the preparation, not the writing of the pitch, but actively reciting the pitch. You guys want to know who won? Yeah, we won that $8,000. We knocked it out of the park. So that was Parco. That was phase one. I continued to work on that for several weeks, several months with those partners. And they were graduating, and a major investor was coming on. And at that point, I sold my shares. I wasn't super passionate about parking. So I decided to then use those funds to start Denik. Which, again, this time I did the same thing. I entered a pitch contest. I did the same exact thing, the same recitation, the same process, because I knew I was at a disadvantage, and I entered another pitch competition. We took second place on that one. So we still got some funds. But this time, when I wanted to start a company about notebooks, this is what a lot of people said to me. You want to sell notebooks? That's the face that I got, was, you're a little crazy. You want to sell notebooks? What happened to the cool parking app? But the thing about these notebooks is, I'm an artist. And people told me, don't be an artist. You'll never make a living, and you'll never do anything in the world because you're an artist. Have you ever heard of starving artist? And so I was motivated, one, passionate about art. Also was an avid notebook, journal, sketcher, and so was filling those products, and I saw a gap in the market. No one was putting art on these products. The products that we use for our creative outlet were not that creative. And I knew that there was a market for it. So, people said it was a crazy idea. So I decided, okay, I need to get a little bit crazy to make this idea work. So I went out and I bought this machine right here. Not that expensive, it was like $400 or $500. But I thought, okay, I'm going to buy this machine to print and bind these notebooks. But here's the problem. Is anyone in here using a notebook that's not lined pages? Any blank page users in here right now? Nope. How many are you writing in lined pages currently? Okay. That was the problem. Lined pages. To sell notebooks to college students and other people, I needed a way to have lined pages rather than going to a print shop and saying, hey, can you print all these sheets front and back lined? That's going to be a $30 notebook. No way could I compete in the market. So I had to get crazy. So I went to Smith's. I went to Walmart. I went to Shopko because it was here back then. And I bought every single one of their 25-cent lined notebooks. 25 cents is way better than $30. And at 25 cents, I could be competitive in the market by giving people a better product, a designer product. And so, me and my partner, we took all of those products, stashed them throughout my one-bedroom apartment. My wife loved it. Good thing I was already married. And we started ripping off those covers, cutting off the little wire spiral binding, taking off their terrible back covers, and we used this machine to bind it with a really nice premium quality plastic coil, high quality printed cover and back cover. Slid it in a poly bag with a rad sticker and sold them for $7 to $10. That's how I started the company. It was a little crazy. And we started going around to Poetry and a Beverage. I mean, they would do movie showings on campus. We started traveling around and just hitting up any little teeny event that we could, setting up shop, showing our products, and telling our story about how we were working with all these artists and we're helping to build schools. So that was a little bit of crazy, actually a lot. And so 2011, working really hard, hand binding these notebooks from November through December, 2 months, $4,500 is what we made. Now, not to mention, rewind a little bit to that Parco, where if you look at the time I put into that pitch, 40 hours to make $8,000. Would anyone in here work 40 hours to make $8,000? Head nod, yeah, absolutely. Worth it. So, same kind of thing here. I thought, wow, there's something here. People liked what we were doing. $4,500 is not that much. 2012, graduated from Utah State. And this is still in the era of working hard. These right here, they are not my customers. Those are the places I worked in 2012. I worked early in the mornings at Great Harvest, and then in the evenings and on weekends, I worked at all these radio stations doing broadcasts. And that's how I made money. While during the day at 9 or 10 a.m. after I got off from the bakery, I'd go to the Denik office, which was this one room, 10 by 10 closet above a hookah lounge in Murray, Utah. But it was rad. It was a lot of fun. And in the mornings, in the evenings, and on weekends, that's how I made money. And then I just put it right back into the company to keep it going, to keep progressing. And we started going to all these farmers markets. Guys, look, not the smartest in the room. Like, this is a few banners, some products, but a whole lot of hustle. Where's Joey at? Joey. You guys see Joey's hat right here? It says grit. Grit, right on the front. That's all we had. We had grit and a really small amount of money that we were just pouring into the business. It was just grit. And so at these events, we would talk to anybody. It didn't matter who you were. It could be a grandma. We don't care. You got grandkids. Let's go. And at these events, we would make $1,000, $3,000 because we would talk to everybody. And people loved the story. We'd sell out of products. This is at a Wiz Khalifa concert in Salt Lake City. We sold so many products. Guys, this right here is a manila folder. So professional. I'm a college graduate right here, by the way. Manila folder. Here's the plan and the strategy. Salt Lake City, Twilight Concert Series. LA, we got a call from Tom Shoes, by the way, and was like, you guys are doing cool stuff. Come see us. Partner with us. So LA was on the calendar. Wyoming, Ohio, New York, Delta. Must have been a flight somewhere. You know, that itinerary. Got to keep track of it. Boise, Salt Lake City, all-day events. Salt Lake City, all day. Oh yeah, call Pablo to line that up. Salt Lake City, Twilight. Salt Lake City, something called Urban Art that was like this cool event, and we got to be there because it has art. This was our list of events. Now, this one right here, Arizona, agenda. $83 for lodging. Where are we staying? $46 for meals. How long are we gone? Like, this is not pre-$5 hot and ready, so that's only 10 meals, right? So this was our plan. And this is what we were making a living, well, not really making a living, but this is how we were funding the business. And we had this crazy idea. We realized that as we went to all of these events and we'd sell out of products and we'd make $1,000 to $3,000 at these events. Smart, right? We got to talk to more people, right? So we did what most smart people would do. We opened up a kiosk in a mall. And since we were in Salt Lake City and we were super smart, Salt Lake City, let's open the kiosk in Provo. Not that smart. But it was the cheapest kiosk that we could get during several months of the year. So if you take away one thing from my talk today, it is don't do a kiosk. 2012, again, working hard, 35 grand. That's a lot of events. A lot of events that we did throughout the year, driving all over the country, hitting these events. 2013, guys, we're still in working hard mode. 2 years. This is Jake, one of my early partners in the business. And this is literally after we landed our first retail account, Nordstrom. If only Nordstrom knew that these products were packaged on this nasty shag carpet and going into their high-end retail stores. If only they knew. Don't tweet this, please. We still work with them today. So, this was an order with Tom Shoes. And the only reason that we had access to this space, we moved to a new office, which was really cool, by the way, downtown Salt Lake City. If any of you know where the Melting Pot is on Main Street, right across in the Felt building. Short story there, we just walked in, it was all this vacant space. There was a guy who happened to be an Aggie. He was an attorney in that building. And we said, hey, what's up with all this vacant space? He said, I don't know. And I said, well, can I have the owner's number? He said, sure. So I called up the owner on the spot. He answered, and I said, hey, you have all this vacant space. We're renting a really nice office space above a hookah lounge in Murray, Utah. And it's like $200 a month. So we'd be happy to move over here if you'll take the rent. And if you get someone to come in and take the space, we'll move out. And he said, sure, I'll send over the contract. And it was nice downtown space. This was one of the spaces there. The door just happened to be open during the day when we needed to package all of these products before they shipped out to Tom's Shoes. So this was our shipping at that day when we had so many products to ship. So 2013, again, working hard, 146,000 in sales. Again, that's also radio stations, working at Great Harvest. Look at that trend line. We're making some progress here. 2011 through 2013. Oops. Then, the beginning of 2014, we funded our first school in Mali, Africa. With those funds, we weren't even paying ourselves, but we funded that first school. And this is that school. And I literally remember walking outside of this building with a friend of mine and him stopping me and being like, hey man, like, seriously? You think you're going to sell some notebooks and actually build a school? And that just fueled the fire. And so we did. And I remember posting this on social media and being so pumped, like, yes, high five, get it hot and ready, let's do this. Celebrating. And like an hour later, I got a phone call, and it was my mom. I was like, Mom, you know I'm working hard. Hey, Mom. She was sobbing. And I was like, uh-oh, what happened? I said, what's up? And it took her a minute to kind of gather herself. And she said, I'm so proud of you that you stuck with it. And now there's a school, and hundreds of kids are going to get an education. I lost it. I didn't have the chance to really take it in and celebrate it. But This has been some of the biggest career highlights, is to see this come to life, because we have these artists who want to make a difference, who want to get involved with what we're doing, and we have partners and customers who also like what we're doing. And so because of that, we've continued to grow and progress. 2014, look at the change down there. Working smart. So, I remember sitting in a class here on campus, and it was for my entrepreneurship or management minor at that time, and the professor said, okay, what's the number one indicator for success as an entrepreneur? Number one indicator. Everyone was throwing out ideas, thoughts, and he said, number one indicator for success as an entrepreneur is previous industry experience. Previous industry experience. I didn't have any industry experience, but what I have been doing for the last several years is building that industry experience, starting the company. But that quote has just rung over and over in my head for the last 10 years. So I took it to heart. And we had reached this point where it was like, okay, we're making progress. We're getting some great partnerships. We're getting some great retailers. We're getting some great customers. I don't really know what to do next. So I called up my friend Jeremy White. He started a company called J.J. Cole. Very successful company. They sold that company years ago, and I had connected with them through my wife and through the university. And over the years, I would connect with him and ask him the really hard questions. And then finally, it was like, hey, I think we're at a point where we need maybe a little more mentoring, and I think we need some investment. We need some steering, because I don't know where we're going. I don't know what next looks like, but we're making progress. So they invested in the company in 2014. Now, here's what I learned. This is what I call the pepper spray syndrome. Yeah, you can write that, pepper spray syndrome. Now, my wife is a huge runner. Last year, she did the Bear 100. Yes, that's 100 miles. She's a beast. And like my dad, she's a baller. But sometimes when she's out running, when we first got married, I gave her, looked just like this, pepper spray. And I said, hey, if you need this while you're out running at all these different hours and throughout the roads and things, you have it. I'd rather you have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And so I gave her this. And she came home one day. She was a little out of breath. And she said, oh my gosh, you'll never believe what happened. And I was like, what happened? Where's your pepper spray? She's like, I don't have it. And I was like, what do you mean? What happened? She said, this dog came out just charging at me. I was running as fast as I could. And I was like, she sprayed the dog. Saved her life. And she said, and I turned around so fast and I threw it right at the dog. And I was like, babe, that was like $6. You threw it at the dog. You know you can, right? She was like, yeah, but I couldn't think that fast. Like, it was attacking me. I needed to distract it. And I was like, well, I'm glad you got away. And we now call that the pepper spray syndrome. That's where you think you know what you're doing, but you really don't. Or you're in a moment that you're acting so fast that you kind of make the wrong decision. And so when I brought on these investors and these partners, they really highlighted every area that I was suffering from the pepper spray syndrome. The first one was I was doing sales, so I was calling these retailers, trying to line up partnerships and trying to line up deals with them. And I didn't realize this, but they had run the numbers, and every hour that I spent on the phones talking to these customers basically equaled out to $200 an hour worth of sales for the business. Kind of cool. However, we had this all hands on deck moment. You know, a dog was chasing us. All hands on deck. We need everybody to ship. We need everybody on the floor, packaging products. We got to get this out today. And I said, all right, hung up the phone, ran out there. We didn't want to go and spend the money to hire someone to help us ship this. We were all hands on deck. And the investors stopped me. And they were like, hey, Tyler, hold up, slow down. I said, here, look at this. On your call sheets and on this revenue that we're doing with the company here, look at this. Every hour that you spend on the phones is worth $200 to the company. You want to stop that for an hour to save $10 or $12 or $15 or $20 or $30 to have someone come in, give them a job, and have them ship the product and package it. They said, the math's not working. Get back on the phones. And to me, that was a huge eye-opening experience of the pepper spray syndrome throughout business. And they continued to help me shape and understand that business mindset. How am I doing on time? What time is it? 6:42. Okay, I'm going to speed through some of this. 2014, $300,000 in sales, climbing. Oops. 2015, continuing to work smart, $813,000, growing. Now people started to say, you sold how many notebooks? Thank you. 2016, continuing to work smart. This was a cool GIF, but I figured it would be too distracting, so I just captured the image. But I had a guy in 2016, we had landed Michaels, and we were at a trade show. A trade show is where you set up your booth and you display your products, and you have buyers walking through. These buyers buy their products to merchandise stores or for their companies. And so we had landed Michaels, and a guy came up to me and he said, hey, can I buy you lunch? And I was like, sure. And he said, I noticed that you guys have all these products on shelves at Michael's. I want to buy you lunch so you can teach me how you did that. I said, well, how much time do you have? He's like, however long you need. So I went to lunch with this guy, and I proceeded to tell him the story of how we landed Michael's. Now, I'll give you a quick summary. I know I don't have all night. Basically, we decided we need to land Michael's. We need to get our sketchbooks in Michael's. So what did I do? I jumped on LinkedIn and I typed in Michael's buyer. Then I scrolled through, and I didn't call the first person I saw. She looked mean. So I kept scrolling, and then I was like, oh, she looks nice. And then I clicked on her profile, and she had an art degree as well. I was like, man, she's going to like what we do. So I found Michael's headquarters phone number, called, said, hi, I'm trying to get in touch with Danielle so-and-so. Just a second. Brr, brr. This is Danielle. Like, time out. I wasn't ready for this. We have a pause button. I haven't played this game before. I said, hey, Danielle, my name's Tyler. I'm with Denik Notebooks and Journals. I'm not sure if this is in your wheelhouse, but here's what we do. We gather artists from all over the world, print their work on notebooks and sketchbooks, and then with every product sold, part of the money goes to build schools. Is that in your wheelhouse? She said, no, that sounds so cool, but I don't buy that. I buy ribbons. And I was like, darn it. So I said, do you know who buys the notebooks and sketchbooks? She said, oh, actually I have no idea. And I said, hey, Danielle, you know what? You answered the phone. You talked to me. You're awesome. I'm going to send you some notebooks. No charge. She said, actually, you know what? And I said, what? She said, you should give Sarah so-and-so a call. Okay, what's her extension? Doing business, right? Get her extension. So got it, and hello, this is Sarah. 2 in one day? Like, what is this? I said, same thing to Sarah. Hey. And she said, no, that's not my category. And I said, do you know who it is? She said, yeah, that's Nancy. Give Nancy a call. So I called Nancy. Nancy didn't answer. Gosh. So I left her a voicemail. And then I tried all the Nancy DeGeeter, Nancy.D, DeGeeter, Nancy, Nancy.D at Michael's emails. Everything I could possibly think of. And I was like, wait, maybe I'll do some more Google searching. Tried it. I was like, nope, that's not going to work. And then one worked. And I got a bounce back email that she was out of office. Yes, now I have her email too. So I continued to email her. And, since we're being crazy, starting a business, might as well be crazy, I kept calling her. And then one day she answered, and I said, Nancy, I've been trying to get a hold of you. And she's like, I know. And I said, awesome. Well, by now you know what we do. I'd love to make this work with you. And she said, what's your pricing look like? And I was like, dang, I haven't gotten that question this fast. So I said, actually, you know what? I'm planning to be in Dallas. Here's the rule. As an entrepreneur, as a salesman, you're always planning to be where your biggest customers are. Nancy, I'm planning to be in Dallas in the next couple weeks. Oh, great. What day? I said, you let me know, and I'll make it work. And she said, how about the 7th at 7? I was like, sure. So I got off. Yes. Booked the flight. Ordered Little Caesars. I was like, let's go. So got all the products ready. Flew out. Met with Nancy, and Nancy said, this is amazing. She was like, can I keep all these samples? And I'm like, dang, that's like $100. Yeah, of course. I brought them only for you. I made them on this little machine. And at that point, we weren't making them on the machine, by the way. And so she took all the samples. She was like, I just got to show my boss, and we're good. This is perfect. Pricing works, looks good. 6 months go by, and you know how I was. Nancy, didn't hear from her. Then she called, she answered the phone one time, and she said, Tyler, I'm so sorry, but Krista is your buyer. I flew to Dallas. I gave you all of our books. Now Krista's the buyer. Give me her extension. So same thing. I did this for 16 months, and I made 7 trips to Dallas. 7 trips to Dallas. And then 16 months later, we got our first purchase order for $100,000. So I shared this with that guy at lunch, and this is what he said. I don't have time for that. It's like, man, he needs Joey's hat. He's got to have that grit. He literally told me that. He sat with me for an hour. I told him every detail. He took notes on a napkin, stopped, and was like, I just can't. So, again, I talked about talking to everyone. I was at another trade show, and this guy came walking in, and he was wearing Converse with like some holes in them. He'd been wearing them a while. Dirty jeans, button-up shirt, probably some pit sweat. And he said, he came by, and we had this little stand that said free notebooks. And he said, oh, free? And I said, yeah, free. So he grabbed one, and I said, hey, what brings you to the show? And he's like, oh, I'm just looking for some more sales reps for my company. I was like, cool, what company are you with? He said, I'm the president of American Apparel. Most people would look at him and be like, just some guy. But I talked to him. And then lined it up. I went and visited them, right? And we had a purchase order for $140,000 4 weeks later. Now, the downer there was they went bankrupt as we were in the middle of shipping all of that product. So we had shipped them $120,000 worth of product, and they filed for bankruptcy. So, good news though, in 2020, we got a check from American Apparel. Again, this is 2016. 2020, we got a check from American Apparel. $400. That's a lot of Little Caesars. 2017, we continued going smart. Staples, this was crazy. We had products on all their shelves. 12 items, 12 planners on all 1,200 stores. They had one date wrong. It said August 15, 15, 17, 18. They were livid. cost us about 300 grand, paying them for lost sales, ripping it off the shelves, burning our inventory, reprinting, restocking their shelves. That hurt. So I showed you guys this trajectory, 2011 to 2013, right? Looking good. That was the working hard years. And then these are the working smart years. There's that red. So we started getting into the millions. And it was a very different ball game at this point, right? Now, again, even at that point, I'm thinking about what's that number one principle? Industry experience. Okay, so at this point, I'm thinking it's the end of 2019. We had been chasing dollars. Just any deal that we could grab, we were going to take it. And at this point, 8 years in, I had the most industry experience within my team. And so what happened there was everyone was looking to me for every decision, which you saw on that previous slide. We started to slow that growth. And so again, it was ringing true, industry experience, industry experience. So 2020 and 2021, we started working even smarter. We decided that we would hire the best people in the industry. This is during COVID. Like, sales were dipping a little bit. This was during COVID. We had some competitors that went under, but COVID allowed us to work remotely. So we hired the best talent across the country. Now half of our team is completely remote throughout North America. We hired the best people. We improved our processes. And we focused on key products. Instead of chasing every product our customers wanted, we said no to it. And with those key people, we handed them the keys. And I said, look, I've been doing this for years now, but I am not the smartest one in the room. I don't know all the answers. But my role is I'm the chief support officer. So if you tell me you need this, I'm going to go to bat for you, and I'm going to make it happen. And so I handed them the keys. And this is the quote that I say. You got to let go to grow. You got to let go to grow. And if you have great people, you pay them incredibly, you give them great challenges and let them steer, ask them what help they need, they'll go to bat for you. And that teamwork will be incredible. You also should give them the pepper spray, by the way. Let them hold that. We started saying no as deals came in. Nope, that's not in our wheelhouse, which is a little counterintuitive. But what saying no to some of those deals did was it allowed us to say yes to the right deals. And I know you guys saw this, where the red was this big, and the blue was big of our sales. We're in the millions. And then 2020 and 2021 did this to the blue. We celebrated 10 years last week. That's 3,659 days today. You guys see that line, that trend line. We didn't start day one at that line, at that top mark. We did not. I started right here on this stage. I started right here in his seat. Little Caesar's Pizzas along the way. 3,659 days. Little bits of progress every day. Focusing, trying to be better every single day. We've now funded 6 schools, 2 in Mali, Africa, 1 in Ghana, 1 in Laos, 1 in Guatemala, and we just funded the 6th last month in Nicaragua. So that'll be built by the end of the year. We may even do a 7th by the end of this year too. Mentors are key, just huge. People who have been there, people who have that industry experience, right? Who can help shape and steer. You've got to have those people on your team. One of my best mentors, the best mentor, was my wife, Nicole. These are my kiddos. I have one more. But my wife, literally a mentor when no other mentors are there, to hold my hand, help me up the steps, wipe my tears, clean up the blood, because it's been a grind. But biggest shout out in the world to my wife. I couldn't do it without her. And her trust, her faith. So key mentorship. You got to have people in your corner. Guys, this is my email. Tyler@Denik.com. Again, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I've been doing this for 10 years, and I've now learned a thing or two. And so if I can help you with your businesses, with your ideas, I'm happy to. Please drop me a note. But at that point, I'll open up. I think we've got some minutes for questions. Okay. Questions. How can I help? Yep.
2, do you still eat Little Caesars? And what is the best habit that you have today?
Okay. He asked, do I still eat Little Caesars? And what's the best habit I have today? So, honestly, I have been plant-based for a few years now. And I still eat Little Caesars. So my kiddos love Little Caesars. And every time they bring that out for dinner, I pick it up for them. I'm like, give me a slice. Yeah, it's too good. So I still eat Little Caesars. The best habit I have today, when I get home at night and on the weekends, I'm not on my phone. Nope, I'm putting that away. I'm not in my email. I'm home. I'm dad. I'm husband, and we're playing spike ball, monster ball, puzzles, whatever it is. That's probably my best habit is I'm not working when I'm home. What else? Yeah.
You started your business. What was your kind of like thought process of should I start as a for-profit or a nonprofit? Because your business very well could have been a nonprofit like this.
Sure. So he asked, what was my mindset when I was starting the business in deciding, do I go the nonprofit route or the for-profit route? And I had heard something in one of my classes with Matt Sanders. We talked quite a bit about this social responsibility, social entrepreneurship, nonprofits versus for-profits. And a big driver to me was, I don't know if I wanted to go the fundraising route to make an impact versus let's design and create some killer products, right? And that passion for art was really fueling that. So let's create some killer products that people want and people need, create this brand that people love and adore, and let's do some good with it. Let's do some good with our team members, let's do some good in the community, and let's just make an impact. And so that's kind of where my mind went, was the fundraising route seemed a little harder and a little more restricted versus the business for-profit route was kind of open field. Thanks for the question. Yeah.
So we got a whole bunch of like different classes of people, freshman and senior here, and we're all working on different college courses.
Yep.
You were obviously working on a whole bunch of courses
Mhm.
when you were building this business. So how'd you get over that, maybe that fear of like, okay, I'm doing college and also running a business. Like, how did you make that work?
So he asked me when I was in school doing my classwork and starting a business, how did I get over that fear of, hey, I'm starting a business, hey, I'm a freshman here at school, you know, how to get past that fear? And that's a really good question. You know, I sat in another auditorium like this, and it was in the arts building. I thought I was going to pursue an art degree. And it was a guy, I think he's a professor now, and I think his name was like Eric Gauthier or something like that. He was a photographer, and I was a freshman. And he talked about his experience where with his photography, he wanted to get into this gallery in Russia or somewhere over there. And he packed up all of his prized photos, shipped them over, and they said no. And I was like, dang, good on him for actually like sending it. And he said, so a couple months later, I did it again. He did it 6 times. And then after the 6th time, they said, congratulations, we'd like to have you as a part of this gallery. And I was like, that guy is crazy. But he then shared the quote, fortune favors the bold. And that rattled my bones. That literally shook me. And I thought, that's got to be my mantra. And so then, I'd only been at Utah State for like a week or two. And so hearing that quote, I thought, I want to be like that. I want to be bold. And so I just kept trying to be bold. But I will tell you, even to this day, I'll sit in a meeting across from the Target buying team. They're a pretty big company, by the way. And literally, I still have that fear. I still feel small. I'm just this average Joe, and we're doing deals and we're doing business with Target, one of the biggest companies in the world. So it doesn't go away. And if you can get to the mindset of, I'm okay that it's here. I'm going to let it be a part of my life. You let it live there. Let it help you be bold. You know, you get one day at a time, and if you're not bold today, be bold tomorrow. If you can't do it today, do it tomorrow. If you can't do it tomorrow, do it next week. But at some point, get there. Do it. Ask that girl out. You know, try the business idea. Take some risk. And then you start making bigger steps upon that and continue to grow it. The fear's always going to be there. It's just getting used to it and starting to feel comfortable with the uncomfortable. Hopefully that helps. Yeah.
So you talked about your experience with Michael's going out to Dallas like 7 times.
Yep.
Working for 16 months on that. Is there any times that you like invested that much into something and didn't get quite that return out of it, or like what would be, other than your Staples experience, what would be like a big failure that you had to overcome?
So he asked me, found the success with Michael's after 16 months of trying, and was there anything that I put in a similar type of effort and failed? And there are a lot. There are a lot of retailers that I gave the same type of diligence to. Like to this day, and it's been probably 8 years since I was calling on this retailer, we sell in Urban Outfitters, and we do really well in Urban Outfitters. They're owned by the same company that owns Anthropologie, which is a rad store, by the way. I wish there was a Manthropologie. I've been calling on Anthropologie for years. And every year, the last few years, they've said, oh my goodness, this is gorgeous. Send us samples. We love this. And we thought for sure we were landing them this year. The buyer got all the samples, said, these are the best. Yep, we'll roll these out this date. And then came back and said, you know what? These are just a little too youthful. I'm like, excuse me? We go through all this effort, and we've been calling on them for years, meeting them, talking to them, and we have yet to land Anthropologie. So there's always next year. But I could tell you plenty of stories of trying things and failing. Another one is 2 years ago, we have this really cool capacity to produce our products on demand. And so we partnered up with a guy who had built this fundraiser business. And so we were going to do fundraisers at high schools with our notebooks and have all of them design them and put the school logos on it. Just kind of some really cool synergy, right? Wrong. That was the worst idea I've had in 10 years. And it flopped, and we dumped a bunch of money into testing it. We launched it with a couple schools. I was out there on Amazon shopping, trying to find prizes to give to these kids who were selling notebooks, running around for their fundraiser. It was just outside of what we do well. And that's at that point where we said, no, we're not going to do those types of things. We're going to say yes to the projects and the opportunities that are in our wheelhouse. What do we do well? What do we just crush it with? Let's do more of that. Let's pivot that slightly. Let's add more there. So that one, we lost some money, probably about 70 grand. So, who else? Yeah.
What characteristics did you look for in investors looking to invest in you, and how did you determine how much equity or control to give them?
I love that question. There's a lot to this question. And he asked, how did I know which investors to work with, and how did I know how much equity to give them? So first, the guys that I knew, Jeremy and Eric, who actually invested in the business, they were the sharpest of the sharp. And so they were the first ones I called, and it was just right from the get-go. And I had talked to them for 3 years already over the years. And so that relationship was already built and already progressing, even though it wasn't on like, hey, we need investors at some point. It was more just genuine networking and really needing some mentors and help. So I would say finding those mentors first, that's key, and that's the start of a relationship. It is a little scary just searching out investors. You want to make sure that there's some relationships there and you feel comfortable and confident. So there's a whole book that could be written by myself and my partners on those types of details. One of the things that I would say that I wish someone would have taught me when I was starting my business was, as the founder of the company, one thing that you can set up, and this is in the nitty-gritty, so if you tune out, it's okay. But for you and your question, if you're wanting to bring on partners early on, one thing you can do is called synthetic equity. Google that. Synthetic equity is where you can set up a compensation package for a partner where they participate like an owner. So cash distributions from the profits of the company, as well as if there's an exit, they can also participate with a percentage from that exit. So all of the benefits of being an equity holder without the tax liabilities and the burden of, if they decide I'm done and I'm out, they're not holding on to that equity and you don't have to buy them out. So it's mutually beneficial at that point to where, hey, keep grinding with me. Let's go make this happen. And if you stick with me, you're going to get all the benefits. We're going to take care of you, right? So I know that was a little bit of a long answer, but I wish someone would have taught me about that.
One more question.
One more. No more. Yes?
So obviously you have a lot of really cool accomplishments and things that you've undertaken. What is the thing about your life that you're most proud of?
So you saw that picture at the end there? We just had baby number 4. And yes, I'm shooting for 7. I'd love to have 7, but my wife has some say there. So seeing baby number 4, now what happens is we've had 3 children, incredible, amazing children. My oldest daughter, 9 years old, she just dominated the Fancy Like video. If you guys have seen that TikTok video. My 9-year-old crushes it. I got that video this morning. That's the biggest smile I've had in a long time. But as we've had these children, and now child number 4, I'm a little less stressed. I'm a little more comfortable, and I worry less about baby number 4. And so I'm really enjoying seeing what he does on a day-to-day basis, and I'm not at work worrying like, oh my goodness, is he going to fall out of the stroller, right? So that to me has been a lot of fun, and that's kind of spread across all my kids. So that's the biggest accomplishment. I love hanging out with my kiddos, and they're fun to be with. They're great people. So.
All right, let's give Tyler a round of applause.